Hello and welcome back to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy. And guys, today is going to be such a juicy, incredible day. I'm inviting to the show a dear friend and incredible medicine woman, Dr. Delphine Jeong, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. She is actually going to be a guest of mine at the Empower Her retreat for dentists happening in October of this year, 2024. And I just wanted to share with you the incredible beauty and power that she is. She is an integrative medicine woman who bridges many realms between science and spirituality, modern and ancient medicine. She has an extensive background as a dentist, having treated patients in Canada and America and in the Arctic Circle. But she is also a certified Reiki teacher, a sound healer, a yoga instructor, and she brings this unique multidimensional approach to her work. As she says, central to her mission on Earth is to awaken the hearts of humanity, inspiring a shift from this brain-based logic to a deeper heartfelt awareness so that they can experience liberation of the soul. And today she's going to be talking to us about the cacophony of sound that we experience in the dental world as dental practitioners and how it influences our nervous system and leads to burnout, and what she does as a sound healer and how it works scientifically in terms of healing our autonomic nervous system and our cellular makeup, simply with the magic and medicine of sound. And as you'll find out in this beautiful interview, we talk about her journey, how she came to sound healing through dentistry, and then her own experience of burnout, and this juxtaposition of supreme stress and overwhelm in dentistry, and then this beautiful, cleansing, peaceful world of sound healing, and how she brought the two together. I can't wait for you to experience this wonderful gift and my true friend, Delphine. Delphine, I'm so excited to have you join me on the podcast today. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
I know, I'm so excited. I'm counting down the days before the Empower Her retreat, and I am so excited for you to be joining me and all the beautiful women in dentistry who are joining us at the retreat. And before this moment together in person, I'd love for you to share with my audience a little bit about your journey, about how you came into the practice of sound healing, and specifically through your dental journey, and how you're incorporating it today in the work that you do.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me again. I'm really excited to share all the magic of sound and energy, not only in the podcast, also soon in person at the retreat with all the incredible women in dentistry. So the journey with sound and energy really began with burnout in dentistry. And I would say that this path was also predestined, and in a way, the density and the challenges faced in dentistry and also in personal life is what really needed to happen to spark this discovery or kind of looking at different path in life. So I had been a dentist for about 5 years at that point and feeling just completely burnt out every single day coming home. Over giving from a place of lack, feeling like, okay, I'm a healthcare professional, I'm a doctor, so of course I need to take care of all of my patients and give all that I've got every single day without realizing where my limit was, and giving and giving and giving nonstop for about 5 years, and I hit rock bottom. And over the 5 years, it was leading to slowly and gradually, I started to feel not like myself. I didn't enjoy life. Every time I come home from work, I felt completely burnt out. There was like 2-hour period when I come home, I would just be vegging out, totally like a vegetable, like a corpse lying on the bed. I can't talk, I can't eat, I can't move. And then 9 o'clock comes, 9 p.m. comes, I would slowly get out like, okay, I guess I need to feed myself. And I never knew why I felt that way. I thought that was like a normal thing in dentistry. And then I talked to my friends, my colleagues, and other dentists. They're like, that's normal. That's work life. Exhaustion, feeling tired, that's normal because you have a job. So I thought that was a normal thing to feel. And until hitting rock bottom and severe depression to the point of suicidal thoughts on a day-to-day basis. And that's when I started to look within and like, if I can't change my external life, then I must be able to change my internal life. And slowly but surely, then I started to incorporate yoga and meditation in my day-to-day life, and which helped. It helped to a certain point, but I could never get rid of this feeling of like, I'm not sure if this is what I'm meant to do forever. I feel so tired and exhausted. I'm so sick of this. And I'm so sick of feeling this way, but I didn't know any other way. So, I went on with meditation training, becoming a yoga teacher, but still that lingering feeling never left. And I didn't know any other way. So I kept persisting in dentistry. And one day, like literally one day, complete burnout, my body had given up. So I was in my bathroom. And at that point, I was looking in the mirror every day, asking myself, who am I? What am I doing here? I don't get it. And this is so painful. I'm not enjoying life. And many months of doing that. And one day I was in the bathroom, just stretching my hamstrings. And as I was getting up, fell backwards. I fainted and collapsed, hit my head against the bathtub. I was living alone at the time in a 1-bedroom apartment in Montreal. Then I was unconscious for several minutes. And that was a huge turning point. So when I got up from the concussion, everything was like pink and purple and green. I had no idea where I was, so disoriented. But I remember the very first thing I said as I'm getting up, like, thank you, ancestors. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for bringing me back here. And I had no idea what had just happened. So I'm like lying on the yoga mat. Like, what is going on? What happened? I touched my head and there was a huge swelling. And that's why I was like, wait, what is this? And then I traced back the memories, and then I remembered, the last thing I remember was falling and trying to grab onto the wall, and I didn't remember anything after that. So that was December 2019, December being the busiest month in dental. The next day, I couldn't move, so I walked myself to the ER. And then the day, even in ER, the whole time I'm thinking, I need to go back to work. Patients are waiting for me. My boss is going to be really mad at me because I'm not showing up when it's the busiest time.
Yeah.
So I did show up to work the day after. And the ER doctor said, scans, everything look fine. You can go back to work. So went right back to work in this extremely intense environment, which until that time, I didn't realize how much stimulation there is in dental. Extremely bright lights, the hand pieces, the noise, high pitch frequency, suctioning, milling machine, the loops, the light, everything. My nervous system was completely like given up. And then to be in extremely overstimulating environment, I couldn't get better for like 6 months. And hearing loss of balance, vision, all of this. And I couldn't stay in dental yet, of course, like I'm going to stay because I need to treat my patients, help them. And then I need to be a good associate. So it had gotten to a point where I was like, I think that I'm going to die. I'm going to die in this operatory. And if I die, I knew that the priority at this office was very productivity and capitalistic driven. So I could really sense that I'm really suffering, but to this point, they don't care. All they're caring about is the productivity. Okay, if I die, like faint again and die in the clinical, in this office, I think that's the last thing they would care. They would still care about their productivity. So when that hit me, it's like, I need to leave. So I left, and thankfully, COVID hit right at that time. So I wasn't able to practice for several months. And in that time, so by that time, I had already been certified as a Reiki practitioner. I started working with sound. I had a few sound bowls that I was playing with to meditate and to relax. And in this time of transition where I completely took myself out of dentistry, I mean, we were in COVID, lockdown, not much else to do. So all I did was Reiki and sound every day. And none of the modalities in modern Western medicine could help me. But this, the medicine of sound, energy, vibration, sound, this changed the whole trajectory of my life. And that's when I really started to realize, oh my gosh, this medicine is so powerful. And then I dove deeper into it, doing research and taking more advanced trainings and learning more about these incredible modalities that have been not only like given a bad reputation, right? Because it's not modern and scientific, which it is now. It's just that it's a medicine that existed for thousands and thousands of years, and a pharma-driven industry, of course, didn't have any interest in putting money and doing research in these like natural modalities. But now the scientific community is catching up, and now there are devices and machines that can actually measure the numbers and vibration produced from the sound. So they're now catching up. And anyhow, like along the journey, then I realized, oh my gosh, this is so potent and powerful. And this is what we really need to bring balance on a mind, body, soul level. And the journey of connecting with sound, connecting with energy, once you connect with it, it's also one of those things you realize, oh my gosh, it's not new. It's always been part of me. It's always been me because it's always been part of the universe. The universe, how it began is with a sound. It's the most basic thing that exists. And all the things that we actually learn in science classes too, like atoms, electrons, electricity moving, nervous systems, there's all electricity firing. It's just that we haven't made the connection between this and then all the science background that we have. And now where I stand is recognizing, oh my gosh, it's in a way, it's just the language that we use.
Totally.
It's, yes, vibration and sound, but also if we start to use words like quantum physics and quantum energy, then all of a sudden it sounds more familiar to the scientific left brain trained humans. So yeah, it's really time for the West, the East, the modern medicine and the ancient medicine to start merging, integrate, so that like we're no longer at a place where like this is right, this is wrong. But no, it's actually can be together for the healing of the entire planet.
Yeah, so beautiful. I love how you've identified that it really is just different language. We're talking about similar things, but it's just the language that we use. And another component of language that dentists totally resonate with, and I use that word intentionally, is nervous system. Now, we learn about the autonomic nervous system in dental school and medical school. We understand how it works, but I'd love for you to share the impact of sound on the nervous system and relating that specifically to things like burnout and exhaustion, overwhelm in dentistry.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So when I look back at the times when I took time off of dentistry for many months and really immersing in these beautiful frequencies with crystalline sound bath, crystal singing bowls, Tibetan singing bowls, and chimes, and all the beautiful instruments, like that was my day to day. And then the day I went back to dentistry, hearing these crazy high pitched frequencies, like high speed handpiece, ultrasonic scalars, high volume suction, like all of it at the same time as a symphony. I was so overwhelmed and I could feel like, oh my gosh, this is where we spend most of our days. And that frequency, that type of noise is very triggering to the nervous system, even on a micro scale, like 5 minutes. But as professionals, dental professionals, we're in it for 8 hours a day, multiple times a day. So that's when I started to awaken to the fact that, okay, there's something here. And then through Reiki training, I've started to also understand emotions and how within dental setting, the type of emotions that are very present in the air, it's like lack, extreme fear, anxiety, complete opposite from love and peace and joy and happiness. So everybody's walking into the dental field with this energy that is unseen but can be felt, because we also, all of us have this empathic ability. Depending on how sensitive we are, we might feel a little bit, we might feel a lot. And I'm on a very extreme spectrum, end of the spectrum, where I can feel so much as a hypersensitive, highly sensitive and intuitive individual. So energies of fear, anxiety, worry, lack, all of this. And on top of it, high pitch frequency that can be very damaging, not only to our hearing level, but on a whole nervous system regulation level. So, to give you an example, the earth frequency, the Schumann resonance, like the Mother Earth, her vibration is at about 7.5 hertz. The sounds of nature, so the wind, the trees and leaves rustling with no traffic, right? Just when we find ourselves in the forest, that would be anywhere between 50 to 150 to 200 hertz. And the crystalline bowls or singing bowls that I work with, generally between 300 to 500 hertz. So these are the frequency range that is very calming to the nervous system, most similar to nature, the sounds of nature, vibrations of nature, and how when we feel it, then our body remembers, okay, I'm a nature being and this is what feels good to me. This is what's normal. But can you guess the frequencies found in dental?
Oh my gosh, I'd love to know. Tell me. So yeah, but I'm picturing like a high-speed handpiece must be off the charts.
Yes. It's anywhere between 20 to 30 hertz.
That's what I was going to guess. 20. Wow.
That is wild.
Wow.
And the contrast from what feels natural, the sounds of nature, the frequencies of nature, to what we are surrounded with on a day-to-day basis in most specialties of dentistry, right? The high speed ultrasonic scaler, high speed suction, milling machine. The other day I was like, it blew my mind because my assistant was trimming the models, the stove model, that, and all of these are playing all at the same time.
All at the same time.
So there's this mechanism in our bodies. So in every cells of our being, we're always at all times kind of sensing the environment and in training, matching the frequency of our environment. So for example, when we find ourselves in nature, then nervous system relaxes, all the cells in our body starts to relax and entrain or match the frequency of nature. And then now we're vibrating at the same level or resonating with nature. Imagine being in dental and in training to this frequency at all times. So that explains so clearly why so many dentists, dental professionals are always on edge, always so pressed and so rushed and stressed and on edge about everything. And initially, I used to think that in the very beginning of my career, I used to think that it must be the microfield that we're looking at, as opposed to this giant, big macro picture. We're looking at this tiny thing. And I remember you sharing about that in your social media, where if you look at further away, it relaxes. We're looking at this, then it's very straining and causing tension for the body. And it's not only this,
Mm-mm.
it's all the noise, all the sound, the vibrations that we are surrounded by, which is not a vibration of peace.
Imagine this: 3 days away from work, 3 days away from your regular life, from your family, from the day-to-day hustle and bustle, to just rest and reconnect with you. Here's the truth. Nobody knows you like you do. Nobody knows the joys and the sorrows and the fears and the frustrations and the stresses and the overwhelm and the exhaustion and your patience and your team and your family. Nobody knows what you're going through better than you. Nobody knows what brings you joy and fuels you and fulfills you. Nobody knows your dreams and desires like you do. And the secret to how to access that beautiful wisdom inside of you, the guru inside of you, waits for you at the Empower Her retreat. This incredible retreat happening this October 17th through 20th is an opportunity for you to fall back in love with yourself, to identify your directional compass, and to lean into trust, self-trust, the trust of that inner wisdom. www.empowerherretreat.org. Join us there. Sign up. There are only a few spots left. This is your opportunity to change the direction of your life. And now add on to it all of the energetic frequencies of the people that we are within such close proximity to. Our patients whose energetic field we're invading as practitioners and absorbing this energy. And it's so fascinating to me that it's taken us this long to understand or even begin to accept this, because we've known in other fields of medicine, even in Western medicine. You know, I'll never forget, Delphine, years ago, I used to suffer from migraines a lot. And so I've had multiple EEGs, EKGs, all the things. I've had all kinds of electrodes put all over my body. And I'll never forget, I think it was almost 15 years ago. And I had all these leads attached to my brain to assess my brain waves and to assess my autonomic nervous system function. And she had a set of headphones on, and she was giving me different sounds to see how quickly my body recovered from stress. So she was inducing stress with sound, and then watching my heart rate, my autonomic nervous system, to see how quickly I could return to calm. So really testing my vagal tone. I know you'll probably guess this, but the sounds she fed me in my ears through the headphones to induce stress from this audiologist who had gone to school for this were dogs barking, because your whole body goes into stress, like these aggressive dog barks, growling and barking. Children screaming like they're in pain, which also we know evolutionarily, like we want to respond and help and rush, fight or flight kicks in to go and help this child. And then the third one she played was a dental high-speed handpiece. And with the knowledge that it was inducing stress in the body, that frequency was one that causes stress in your autonomic nervous system. This was 15 years ago. And the fact that we haven't yet caught on in the dental world as practitioners, I mean, it's one thing for patients. We seem to accept that that happens with patients, that induces fear, anxiety, stress. But we forget about the impact on our nervous system. And like you said, the cellular vibration of our entire body that gets so jacked up with hearing the sound over and over and over again.
It is wild.
It's crazy. So when you started discovering this, I mean, it was like a light bulb went off for you when you identified how much trauma your body had been experiencing as a dental practitioner?
Definitely. Yeah. So the way that I started to discover it is taking time off from dentistry. Also, I had been a traveling dentist, right, in the Arctic region. So it would be a month-long intensive dentistry, nonstop. and then come home. And all I would do was sound and energy, Reiki, sound, just like totally immersing myself in the quantum medicine to not only heal myself from all the damage done during the dental travels. That's also what I love. So in this polarity, walking in this polarity of intensive dentistry to intensive peace, and then whenever I go back to dental, how quickly I realize, oh, like the whole last month, I felt so peace. I was radiating love and happiness. I felt so good in my body and in my being. And then the moment I step in and hear the high speed handpiece drill, how traumatic it felt for me. So then it started to click in my head. Oh my gosh, this is where we find ourselves every single day. And then when you're in it on a day to day, of course, then your nervous system starts to numb out so much so that it's okay, it's fine. But also I realized that the threshold level for happiness and joy and feeling love, like love inside of myself and radiating that, was decreasing significantly too, the more I spent in dental. So it's really fascinating.
And that makes so much sense because there's a part of us that has to armor up
Mhm,
or dissociate,
mhm,
one of the
mhm,
two,
mhm.
in order to tolerate that much
Yeah.
of an assault on our nervous system. And, we're talking right now about sound, but I love that you also recognized it's the lights, it's the
Mhm,
energy of our patients, it's the energy of our team members, of
mhm.
our colleagues who
Yes.
also get pushed to this place of fight or flight
Mhm,
and
mhm.
intensity.
Yes.
And this constant ethos of urgency. I
Mhm.
think that also wraps us up so quickly. And I
Totally.
love that you identified that when we start to numb out, almost because it's a survival, it's a
Mhm,
sort of a coping mechanism to deal with this assault of so much,
mhm, mhm,
we either numb out or we dissociate, we disconnect, and we disconnect. We can't just disconnect from one energetic experience, we disconnect from them all.
Yeah.
And so it's
Mhm,
hard to feel those levels of joy, those levels of
mhm,
love, those levels of
mhm.
compassion. And it's really interesting. We then self shame
Mm.
ourselves. Why can't I feel
Yes.
happy?
Yeah.
Why can't I feel compassion for this patient?
Mhm.
Why am I acting in a way that's out of alignment with my values? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
so fascinating. I love having this conversation because it is so illuminating the moment you hear this. And I'm so excited to have you here to bring this to our audience because the moment you hear it, you realize, oh my gosh, that
mm.
makes so much sense. Yes.
Mhm, mhm. And like you were saying, there is so much shame around, like, why can't I feel good? And that's
Mhm,
how I used to feel in dentistry too. Like, why am I not happy? I have a
mhm,
great job. I have stability and all the things that the society says that I do. But why can't I be happy? Why can't I just appreciate my life? And when we start to understand, well, this is the energetics that we are in on a day to day basis, there's nothing happy about this field,
mhm.
then of course, we're not going to feel good.
Yeah.
And that's where we, as professionals collectively, I feel it's really time to bring so much love and compassion for ourselves, what we're doing, and how much it takes to stay centered and be an integral practitioner when everything around us is like trying, like bringing us down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then,
I love that the sense of compassion and
mhm,
love.
mhm,
Because
mhm,
I think so often, tell me if you agree with me about this, is we were kind of taught how to push through and
mhm.
knuckle down
Yeah.
and ignore the signs from our body,
Mhm,
ignore the signs from our heart, and ignore that even our energy, talking back about energy for a moment, that feeling of low energy, exhaustion, depletion,
mhm.
ignore, 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 and just show up anyway.
Yeah. Mhm, mhm,
And that story you shared about, really having a concussion where you really injured yourself and then just showing up for work anyway. that
Mm-hmm.
commitment, that integrity that we
Mm.
call, and I'm using air quotes here, that integrity that we've experienced to other people outside of us and
Yeah.
losing that integrity to ourselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's such an important conversation to hold.
Totally. And how self-honoring and like listening to the body and honoring our body is in a way not accepted in the modern medicine. And another thing that I've been really waking up to is the magnificence of feminine body.
Yes.
But as cyclical beings, when we are bleeding for a whole week out of the month, that's when the body's really asking, hey, go inward, do minimal activities, like nourish your body. But that doesn't work in this extremely masculine structure where we are, as female dentists, we are expected to keep up with the pace of very driven masculine energy.
Yeah.
And our bodies are not meant for that. So when we are month by month, year by year, ignoring the body signals and continuously pushing and pushing and pushing, that's why there's so much burnout in medicine, especially for women, female practitioners.
Yeah. And once again, shame.
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm,
without
mm-hmm.
understanding that cyclical nature of our bodies,
Yeah.
there's a lot of shame around, I yesterday or 2 weeks ago, I was fine. Why am I feeling this way today?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I just push through?
Yes.
And not understanding that that really is not having that sense of compassion or
Mm.
awareness
Mm-hmm.
for, as you mentioned, this incredible, beautiful body that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for me, Delphine, has been one of the biggest messages that I've hoped to bring to the dental world is there's
Mm.
nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I love that you're sharing this incredible wisdom about sound and the impact that sound has had on us, but also the healing that sound can have. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit more to the healing. So we've
Mm-hmm.
understood now very beautifully that there's nothing wrong with you, that
Mm-hmm.
we've just been kind of blind to that energetic assault on our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, and that's why you're feeling so exhausted and depleted at the end of the day or at the end of the year or 5 years into your practice.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about how sound has helped you heal.
Sound can be explained in two different ways. So, first off, vibrations. When the sound is produced with the instruments or sound healing instruments, crystalline bowls, then there is a vibrations that's produced, right? The acoustics. And then there's a vibration component and there's the frequency component. So I'll start with the vibrations. The way that the vibration has helped me is because everything in this world, in this reality, is vibrating and vibrating at a certain level. The atoms are constantly vibrating, right? So when these vibrations are introduced into the body, the vibration meets the matter, then what it does is like it really shakes all the cells. So analogy that I really love is like, say you pulled a bunch of carrot from the ground. When you haven't washed it, it's covered in dirt. You can't really see how beautiful this carrot is and how yummy this is. And then you start to shake it and cleanse it. Then, oh, here's the beautiful carrot that looks so juicy and yummy. So, how vibration works in our body. On a day to day, we are collecting energetic junk,
Mm.
thoughts that are rooted in lack, negativity, judgment, all the things that feel really yucky,
Mm.
emotions that feels really heavy, that weighs us down.
Mm.
And as we spoke about dentistry, right, all the dental anxiety, fear around money, how much am I going to pay? This energies that patients bring in, and just the energetics of dentistry overall. So we are constantly absorbing and collecting this energetic junk on a cellular level and also in our energetic field. So the sound wave, as it moves through our energetic field and into our physical body, it'll shake everything. Shake, cleanse, and purify, just strip away all the energetic junk. And now, when the energetic junk, so thoughts and emotions, belief system that are really not yours, that are rooted in negativity, starts to fall away, then you start to see yourself for who you really are. Your real light starts to shine. So I believe that every one of us, like deep in our center, in our core, is unconditional love and this beautiful light. And that light gets dimmer and dimmer as we are living in such dense society. And this starts to fall away, then, oh, okay, well, all these negative thoughts that I used to have, which I thought was mine and I identified it as mine, as me, that's not mine. That was actually thought patterns and emotional patterns from the previous generations, from the media, from the people around me. And then you get closer and closer to your truth and your intuitive abilities and gifts. And now, when it comes to the frequency part of it, we talked about how nature is, between 10 to 500 hertz. And then in dentistry, it's off the chart, crazy vibrations or frequencies that are very, very intense. So if we are not balancing these frequencies, then this frequency that we take up on in a dental community, a dental setting, because as I mentioned, there's principles of entrainment, right? Our body, our thought, like everything is matching the frequency around us. So if we don't intentionally modulate the frequency in our bodies, then we are constantly like thought patterns, emotional patterns at 10, 20,000 hertz, for example, which would be like busy, I don't have time, just like, this anxiousness. So
that very high beta brain waves along with
Extremely.
those. Yeah, extremely high beta brain waves. Yeah.
And I can't shut off my mind. And then how sound healing really helps is as you bathe in this frequency of nature, slower and more intentional, like will bring everything down. So then your cells, your energetic field is resonating, changing the frequency from 20,000 to 500, 400 hertz. Okay, now I feel good. I can go to sleep. My mind can rest and I feel good in my body. I don't feel so anxious. So these are to simplify, this is how sound healing can help us.
Yeah. And then when we're in that lower frequency vibration in our bodies, that's when we start to be able to see things from fresh perspective,
Yes.
from a place of calm, from a place of accessing our executive function, as opposed to being in this place of fight or flight and urgency and stress. Yeah.
And also in that frequency is body's innate ability to heal can activate. Because obviously when we're in fight or flight, the body is not going to rest. It's not going to repair itself. But when the frequencies come down to match the frequency of nature, then all the cells in our body like, oh, okay, I remember. It's time for me to get to work and heal this organism.
Yeah, which makes so much sense with your story about why it took you so long to recover from that accident in the bathroom. Yeah, because your cells were just not functioning at a natural frequency, which allowed them to do the thing that they were meant to do.
Right. I love to imagine is like the cells are children. Every one of our cell children talking to each other. And when we are in like very heightened state from the stress of dental, then it's like children screaming, and you are giving instructions to your body. Hey, listen to me. Calm, stay calm. Let's relax. Kids are like, no, doing their own thing, not listening to the body instructions. And when they can calm down is when they can actually listen to the instructions that the center of our consciousness is giving. And then I imagine children holding hands and actually communicating with each other, which is how nervous system is communicating to the endocrine system. Hormones now start to produce in an optimal way rather than in an erratic way.
Dysregulated. Yeah. Oh, I love that visual.
Mm.
The kids high on sugar. Yeah, after
Yeah.
I love that visual. And it also reminds me that we get to be stewards of these bodies. I love this idea of us as spiritual beings having this human moment and being given this gift of this beautiful body, and that our bodies are just doing the things that it thinks it needs to do to keep us alive. But as stewards of our bodies, we get to have a responsibility of taking care of our bodies and understanding this whole impact of sound and energy on our bodies. We get to be the conscious beings that come in and say, okay, now how am I going to give my body healing? How am I going to take responsibility for this body and not wait for something outside of me to change, but really take ownership right now so that I can care for this vessel that I've been gifted at this moment in time, on this planet, in this time. Yeah. So cool. We all do have a choice. And I'm so excited that you brought this beautiful knowledge to the audience, to my audience. I'd love for you to let us know how we can find you. Of all those beautiful women who are coming to the retreat, you guys are in for a treat because you're going to have a beautiful sound healing to support your bodies after having gone through all the overwhelm from sound that you've been experiencing in your dental world. But for the women who aren't attending this time, please tell us where we can find you, Delphine.
Yes. So my website is consciousmystic.com. On consciousmystic.com, I also have these resources area where it really shows all the benefits of really scientifically researched benefits of sound and energy healing. So if you're curious, there's tons of information there. And I have some upcoming offerings that may be updated on the website soon. And I also, you can also find me on Instagram. It's consciousmystic_.
Beautiful. So I'd love to know, before you leave us today, I ask this of all my guests, and I'd love to know now, after this beautiful journey that you've been experiencing, and I love that you identified that in order to get to where you are today, you really had to experience that journey of burnout in dentistry in order to be where you are today. So with this new understanding for yourself, what is your definition of happiness?
My definition of happiness in this moment, in this phase, is being me, being my true self. And that is just totally stripping away the programming and conditioning, who I need to be, and even on a small scale or maybe major scale. Like we were talking about how in dentistry, we need to ignore our feminine body and need to push. And even during periods of bleeding, like we got to show up and still serve others. And nope, that's not me anymore. I'm not subscribing to these pressures and conditioning anymore, but truly being me. And an example was like my bleeding cycle had started last week. So then I told the office, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to need to step out for some time. Me before in the past would have been like, I'm going to still stay here, even though I don't feel good. And maybe there will be emergency patients that I need to see. And it's like, no, I honor my body. I honor who I am. And this is my number one priority. And from that place of being my true self in a feminine body and in doing all the things that has been very woo-woo and strange in the modern scientific realm, me being my most authentic self is my true happiness.
So beautiful. So grateful to you and the gift that you are to this world. Thank you, Delphine.
Thank you. Thank you.
So awesome to have you. And thank you for coming on the show and for sharing so much of your experience and your expertise with all the women listening. And to those of you who are listening who have felt some resonance with Delphine's story, please check her out. She is absolutely gifted in what she does. And for those of you women who are attending the retreat, I am so excited for you to experience this incredible woman in person. And until next time, remember, when you feel good, that is when you can do good. Bye-bye. Hey, beauty, if you enjoyed this episode, then like and subscribe to the show and receive this beautiful message of empowerment, remembering what you are capable of and the purpose you serve in this world every single week. And if you know of a colleague who needs this message, share this episode with her. This is how we raise the collective in healthcare, reminding one another and supporting one another. Community is the answer. This is how we grow it. And lastly, I invite you to a phenomenal in-person event this October 2024, the Empower Her Retreat, exclusively for women in medicine and dentistry, on the beach. It will change your life. And I cannot wait to see you there. Check out the details in the show notes and have a phenomenal day remembering that you are enough.